Welcome to an overview of the RAOB program's Soundingram module. This is the typical sounding diagram, which plots traditional atmospheric soundings, like this example with temperature and dew point profiles. And if you call up the analysis toolbar, you can also plot the wet bulb, frost point, and virtual temperature profiles. This is possible because they all use the same x-axis temperature grid. But if you want to plot other profiles, such as potential temperature, humidity, or even wind speed, you need to use an XY graphing system which permits different x-axis grids. RAOB's Soundingram module can do this, which we'll soon see. But first, let's look at a limited Soundingram view, which is available without the Soundingram module. To see this limited Soundingram view, just right-click over the diagram to display the Diagram Options panels, and then look at the Format tab. Then select the Analyses box's Wide option. Note this option only works if you have a wide computer screen. Now we see an expanded diagram which has a Soundingram style graph to the right of the plotted sounding profile. And when we call up the Analysis toolbar, we see a second column of analysis buttons called the Soundingram column. And now we can click any of these buttons to plot these additional parameters. But note that only one parameter can be plotted at a time. For greater flexibility, you need to use the optional Soundingram module. So to access the Soundingram module, just select the Displays menu and then the Soundingram option. Here we have a blank Soundingram diagram, where the current sounding data was automatically transferred to this view. And now, when we call up the Analysis toolbar, we get an expanded toolbar listing. And in addition, we can plot up to 3 parameters at a time. And for each parameter plotted, a unique x-axis grid scale is produced. But this is just a small example of the many powerful and unique capabilities of the Soundingram module. For more examples, we'll first need to call up the diagram configuration options. And just like with any RAOB display, diagram options are always available with a right click of the mouse over the diagram. Since this video is just an overview, we will only access the Format tab. But for details regarding all diagram options and tabs, please use this video button or see all the Soundingram videos at this link. So now let's continue with this overview and show examples of each of these format options. Here's an example of the one-panel diagram with just one sounding, which is just like the display we originally saw. Staying with the one-panel diagram, we now have the two sounding option. And when we call up the Analysis toolbar and plot a parameter, we see that RAOB automatically plots 2 profiles for comparison purposes. Note that the red and blue colors correspond to the colors of the sounding titles. Also note that only one parameter comparison can be plotted at a time. Continuing with the one-panel diagram, we've selected the 3 sounding option, where the toolbar analyses now produce 3 profiles per parameter. And finally, we have the 4 sounding option, where the toolbar analyses produce 4 profiles per parameter. And by right-clicking any toolbar button, you can change the color designation of the 4 profiles. Now suppose you want to compare more than 4 soundings. You can do this, but only if the sounding file contains multiple soundings. In this way, you can compare up to 3,000 soundings at a time. To do this, we need to select the Multi-Sounding Scanner option. For this example, the data file contains 10 soundings. All profiles are initially drawn in a gray color, and then in a similar fashion to RAOB's Sounding Diagram Scanner option, this Soundingram Scanner mode also allows the user to manually scan all soundings using the Scanner control bar at the bottom of the screen, where the selected soundings profile is highlighted in a colored profile plot. Scanning can also be done with the mouse, with either clicks or click and drag actions, or by using the keyboard's left and right arrow keys. Okay, now we'll examine the two-panel Soundingram display. Here's an example of the two-panel diagram with just one sounding. And now when you analyze data, you have two separate toolbar columns where you can plot up to a total of 6 parameters, but still 3 parameters per diagram. And now on to the very powerful two-panel, two-sounding display mode, where you can perform a variety of unique data comparisons. There are two display modes, the data mode and the RAOB mode. And we'll first look at the data mode. With the data mode display, it's the analyzed parameters which determine what data are plotted on each diagram. As seen here, you can plot different data on each diagram. With the RAOB display mode, it's the sounding profiles which determine what data are plotted on each diagram. This is immediately evident by the screen titles, where each panel is labeled with its associated sounding. And here you can plot up to 3 parameters per diagram. And with any toolbar button, you can easily remove any of the 3 plotted profiles by again clicking that button, which then allows you to plot a different parameter. In closing, don't forget to view the videos regarding details about the 4 different configuration tab options from this web link. That completes the Soundingram module video. Thank you for watching.